So our guest has come. So I'll just introduce you to the school first. Okay, I'll just tell you brief about our business school. So our parent institution is Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies that was started by Dr. S.C. Vats in year 2000. Our programs on LLB, LLM, BBA, BJ, that is Journalism and Mass Communication, BCA and MCA, these are the most sought after programs in IP University. So in fact, we get top rankers in most of these programs in the university. And in year 2012, Dr. S.C. Vats conceptualized the idea of a business school in this part of the town to impart quality management education. So we started our admissions in year 2013. And this was actually the time, Samir, when many business schools were actually closing down. So that's the time when he thought that let's have a business school which actually imparts that kind of education to students, which actually helps them when they actually join industry. And in fact, a lot of our students benefited from this. And in fact, many of our students, they have their own companies, so many of them actually go to their own family businesses. And many of our students seek corporate jobs. So in both the places, they get that kind of learning that it actually helps them. So the school, Delhi School of Business, has been in existence for last 8 years, and our PGDM program is NBA accredited as well as it is equivalent with MBA. This equivalence is from Association of Indian Universities. This particular industry session is in the course of marketing management, which our first year students are studying. So in this particular course on marketing management 2, as we call it, students have learned about business marketing, products and services, pricing, promotion, plus latest developments in marketing. So they have learned about latest developments in marketing using different research articles from different journals. Now, to supplement their knowledge and to give them a real feel of how marketing actually happens, we are organizing these 2 seminars. With your session, I think students will learn immensely because you bring with you the experience of e-commerce, which is very important for our students. So just to introduce Samir, Samir has 19 years of experience in e-commerce, retail sales and IT. He in fact started his startup also in between. So he has worked in companies like ITC, Britannia, Flipkart, Amazon and Prione. Prione is a JV between Amazon and Catamaran. Samir, is this Catamaran the same company which is a venture of Mr. Narayana Murthy, the founding force of Infosys?
Yes.
And the company that actually placed India on the global IT map?
True. Yeah.
Let's start the webinar from Mr. Samir. Okay, one more thing, I think I forgot to mention that he is also a BTech and an MBA from IIM Indore. Okay.
Let me start with adding that me and Sharad had done our MBA from IIM Indore at the same time. In fact, we stayed in the next to next room for 2 years. So hence we know each other long back and our friendship goes a long back. So thanks, Sharad, for having me here. Really excited to be here. And first of all, apologies to all you guys. Like on Saturday, you have to come and bear me in that manner. But really excited and would like to share. Like already Sharad has shared a brief about me. So yeah, my primarily stint had been in offline come online retail. ITC Britannia being the FMCG giant where I worked there. And for the last 8 odd years, I'm in Amazon system. Like first 3.5 years, I was in Amazon in the marketplace side. And then I moved to Amazon subsidiary here, which is Prion. So if you guys are buying online, then if you know something about Cloudtail, if you have heard of it, Cloudtail is basically our own Prion's 100% subsidiary. So a lot of execution charter which Amazon does in India is through Prion, and hence we all are more or less internally moved from Amazon to this company to set up those charters for India. So interesting last 8 odd years. I love the sector. I love the pace with which we move here and the kind of scale which we could do here in India, or primarily in online e-commerce world is pretty exciting to be compared to any offline experience which I had from ITC or Britannia. So would love to share some of those snippets. What I've did is I understood what you guys are studying in terms of how this COVID has impacted a new normal and how marketing shift has happened. So what I did is I prepared a small presentation which talks about digital industry movement, like how I'm not specifically talk about e-commerce. Well, I'll take a lot of questions on e-commerce in the end. Whatever you have, the specific question you want me to answer, I'll surely take. But what I'd like to go through you is some of those nuances which has come in the last 1.5 years, which has shaped us all, including me as a marketer, in terms of how I need to change my approach towards overall business, overall marketing, and how this has led to certain changes in our online retail digital services world also. So that's what I'm going to take you through. Should I start?
Yes, sure. Please.
Okay, let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes. We can see the screen.
Okay, great. So, sorry,
it's opening in the presentation mode.
Yeah, how do, it's okay, or should I change some mode or somewhere?
That's also okay, but maybe in display settings or somewhere you can just change it to the full screen. I mean,
okay, let me see. Display settings.
The first one.
Is it good?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, new to Zoom. We are primarily on Microsoft Teams, so know a bit more about that software than this one. Okay. So here we go. What we can do is I can take you some of those observations which I gathered and prepared for you guys to take through in the next 30 odd minutes, and then any specific question you want me to answer upon my observations here or e-commerce sector in general, I'll be very happy to take in the next part of the discussion. Okay. So just want to cover some pieces here. Like I'd like to start upon what I have observed as a consumer behavior being changed over the past 1 year, and being in part of the e-commerce world, I could see a lot of behavior being displayed by the customer of ours, and hence how do we maneuver ourselves, how do we change ourselves in serving the needs of the customers. And similarly, as a marketer, how did it change, and how is the marketing industry being changed over the time, and what, as per me, will we go through once we see this new normal and then apply over it. So that's the brief about it. There may be some background noise. The kids are running around being Saturday. They are free to move around, not going outside. That's the reason they are always running here in the room. So just pardon me if at all you hear something on that front. Okay. Okay. This is what at least I saw over the last decade or 2 decades or so. We saw these observations where some of those big event which has impacted our customers or our way of working. And for the latest set of, if you see GST and monetization, that has a very, very big role in changing a lot of customer behavior. Like simple thing being cash on delivery, which is normally was 40% on e-commerce world, has reduced drastically in the last 1.5 years. Customers are now preferring more digital payment option. They want to reduce those cash or reduce transaction on notes because of fear of either less of cash or the fear of COVID as we grow further. So very small nuance, but it's a very big impact on e-commerce for us. And a lot of new companies, if you see PhonePe, Google Pay, Amazon Pay, which we have done launched 1.5 years back, led to a big birth of this industry because of this change in outside industry, outside environment. And then COVID, which we are gonna talk about now. So let me give a brief summary which I visualize, and I'll give you an example as to why it impacted us. The first being seeking trust, safety, and assurance. Like customers are now banking more on trust and safety of a brand rather than just picking anything and everything which they were doing earlier from the marketing, from the outside market. And they really want to ensure themselves that whatever they are picking is being made in the right manner and being assured. So how does this impact as a marketer or a marketing guy? Like, I need my brand to establish quality, trust, and transparency in the customer, in the mind of the customer. So what I do, for example, as a marketer, I'm also like one of my colleagues manages the Amazon Foods launch or Amazon Foods team. So what we do, if you go to Amazon, latest advertisement which we're doing in Amazon Food, what we are saying is live feed from the kitchens, from where the food is being prepared. So if you as a customer want to see, can I look at the kitchen from where this food is prepared, which I'm picking from? Amazon will provide that, you know. So it is in a way talking about transparency in the system. Similarly, we also have now tags being there. This is a hygiene certified restaurant, and this hygiene certification is done by Amazon through their random checks. And hence, if you're buying from this restaurant, you will be rest assured that it is a safe hygiene environment from where this is picked up. So this nuance of customer seeking something has changed a lot as me as a marketer. I need to figure out various means possible to create that transparency and trust in the system for us to do that. The second thing which we have seen a lot happening in the last 1.5 years is customers shifting to a digital platform. Like a lot of offline conversations, offline discussions, and offline customer touch point with the brand are now shifting online. So that has a very, impact on us. Like first being, I need to ensure that these new customers which are coming on my online platform, they have a very good human touch out there. My experience should not threaten them. Like I can't have a website or can't have an app. I can't have a marketing experience on my brand which just throws off a customer saying, and that customer is a new customer. They are already had some kind of fear coming online. And for them to come online and do some transaction, like simple example, my mother was today trying to make a payment through PhonePe to a vendor. Now, she was slightly struggling. And I went deeper into that app because I have a Google Pay. I went deeper. I saw there are a few tweaks here and there the brand could have done to make it more simpler for these new customers to do that. They take it for granted, these apps, they take it for granted as to the customer who's earlier millennial customer, young guy, young girl. They have the same experience for the, people who are now shifting to online. That's not going to happen. That's not easy. So how do we humanize that touch? And similarly, more phygital, which is physical come digital experience. So if a customer who was purchasing in a mall offline want to go and purchase on the website, am I as a brand marketer able to give them a uniform experience? Is there anything which I can do which ensures that they have a similar feeling? They don't feel, oh, where I've arrived, it was so easy to go and see some of those things in the offline world. I knew the brand, I knew the customer counter, I knew some of those things which they sell. Now in online, I'm struggling to see here and there. Can we make it more uniform experience between offline and online? Again, as a marketer, it becomes important for me to do that. Otherwise, I will repel a lot of customers who will then go and back to some other company. The third is more compassionate communication. Like we've seen a lot of stress in the environment outside. People have lost jobs. We have seen a lot of pictures and videos of migrant workers going back, and it's not easy. You intake a lot. And if you see any advertisement and you see any marketing activity where you see a environment, you sometimes get in subconscious way a bit offended. Like there's so much misery outside. How are you helping the world? And if you're just doing partying and all, then are you the right brand I should trust upon? So becoming more compassion and show more optimism. Like you have seen a lot of communication happening where people say, you buy my product and 1 rupee per 100 or something of that sort, I will go and save and give it to some kind of NGO who's helping place these guys who have lost jobs, for example. This is where I will trust that brand a bit more, because I know in this stress time, they are doing their step up, which is good for the entire country. And hence, more compassionate communication in the time of stress and throwing out more optimism that things are going to get better. Don't worry, we are there with you. This is the time where we need to help each other hand, and hey, some of the support I will also provide in that direction. Then we all have, at certain manner, have lost something. Some has lost the job, some have lost higher earnings, some have lost their bonuses. So we all want to save. A, because we have lost something. B, we may believe we may lost something in the next coming year also. That I don't know my job is safe or not, for example. So would I spend more? No, I won't spend more. What I do, I'm going to try and find those products which give me high value for money. So hence, can I promote those products which are of a good quality and provide high value for money? For example, can I, in this testing time, make a combo packs and market those combo packs, which customer once buy, perceive they're saving some 5-10% of your overall purchase, and hence it's a saving they're doing in a manner of speaking. So as a marketer, it becomes important. So when I, as an e-commerce guy, work with my seller base, and I tell my sellers, hey, while you are selling something on Amazon, why don't you make these combo pack, these value packs, and show them upfront 10% discount, 5% discount, 15% off. Customers will start purchasing those products more because they also want to save. They also have limited income. So as a marketer, my impact, my guidance to my sellers change a lot. And the last is value of time. Like, more time is spent indoor compared to outdoor. So do have some of those product stock experiences which I can help add value to the customer's life while they are indoor. For example, small things like once we saw these people are spending more time indoor, some of our family board games. So I just to give you a background which I sorry missed. So one of my key charter is account management on Amazon. So Amazon's top 30% contributing sellers are being managed by my team here. So we are constantly in touch with the customer to see what is selling, what is not selling. So when we saw these experiences, when we started as a customer buying a bit more board game because I want to play with my family because I'm at home, I'm not able to go anywhere out. Then I reached back to my sellers who were selling toys and board games. I said, can you please get more of this selection on the platform? Give them slightly more visibility from the advertising perspective. And they started doing that and the sales start happening, right? So these are small nuances, but the idea is understand how the customer is behaving in this pandemic. How does their experiences have changed? And how we as a marketer understand their pulse and figure out whether it's a product mix that need to be changed, whether there's a marketing mix that need to be changed, and whether I need to understand the TG better and do something more. And then map it with us. So small things, but as a marketer, if you pick up early, and then you get the benefit out of it. It's like early birds get the worm, as simple as that. So if you are able to capture the trend early, you'll be able to encash a lot of these things. So this, as per me, has been my experiences in what COVID has changed. Now, the second part of the marketer, impact on marketers. So this is where I captured some of those studies which is happening and collated for you guys to see how does COVID has impacted major marketers in India and what we should do about it. So what we did, or rather what a few companies did, so I picked up a detailed study which is done by Criteo, which is the digital ad company. And they spoke to some 1,000 senior marketing executives, including 15 India, to understand what has happened for them in 2020 and what are their learnings. And basis that, what are their plans for 2021? So some of those experiences which I could gather while I was going through the detail in the study was really humbling. What I did is I sorted a few snippets from multiple researches for you guys to have a look at. For example, started saying 43% people have seen decline in their revenues. And these are talking about 2020, the entirety. Now, no company can afford a 1 year of no income or 1 year of declining income. They can afford for some time, but these are the companies, with the well-funded companies I'm talking about, not the startups, which are for so many years make loss and still survive. So that's what I'm talking about. But the industries where there's so much impact has happened. So that's where 40%. Now this is where the things started getting interesting. 54% people said my sales have still increased on website. While overall I may have lost business, but my sales in website have started increasing, which is very positive sign because you already are losing sales. And hence they are also like 4 out of 10 says they will spend on more digital transformation for their processes because they want to capture this early trend. And believe me, when you're selling through your website, it is far cheaper than selling from any other store. You put your product as a company in the Shopper Stock, it will take some kind of commission from Shopper Stock for you to sell. You sell your product from your website, you tend to save a lot of those commissions. So it's a healthy trend in the environment where the industry is declining or the market is declining or the sales is declining. And hence they want to capture this trend about the website sale ambitions. Then the second part, do you believe that if it is such a significant change, then are you making some, as a company, are you making some changes? For example, when asked, when I've been into the industry for last 2 decades or so, something around that time. And whenever there's a slump happens, people tend to cut marketing because somehow they believe that marketing is not the first spend that comes into the mind. As a marketer, they said, okay, I need to give salary to my sales team. I need to give salary to my employees. Let me reduce my TV advertising, for example. But what they saw, and because of the increase in website sale, the digital marketing spend had increased a lot. And that's a good learning because I've seen so many slumps during my corporate life. And most of the time I've seen advertising budget are the first one to cut because that are easier to cut. You can't just cut salaries, right? People have to be paid at the end of the month. You can't just suddenly say, okay, I'm going to give you 20 days of salary this month and then figure it out. You can't do that. But you can easily pick out, I will stop this TV ad for next 3 months because that's an immediate spend. I know I can plug it. And there's a variable spend, no impact on employee, no impact on any other PR. I can do that. But still, digital spends have increased. And that's a very heartening thing. And for me, who's in the digital industry, this gives me a lot of confidence that the sector where I am in, I'm going to grow further only. So people, if you see the research that they have made significant changes, they have reallocated budget from other marketing channel to the online marketing channel and share has increased. So that's a good learning and good moral booster for industry practitioners like me, that people are going to spend more on online product and services. And as I said, there are multiple articles. As a team as a student in marketing, you will see a multiple article where some of the articles will talk about the reality. Reality is whenever company revenue goes down, they cut on marketing. And there will be certain research article will tell you that's the right time when the market is going down, when the industry is in a slump overall, that's the right time to spend more on the platform because then you get cheaper marketing assets. For example, if the industry is down, if you talk about now, COVID, right? The normal hoarding, if I take a hoarding in a main crossing, right? Banner hoardings in a crossing, it costed me when I was in ITC 1 lakh rupees per hoarding per month. So I need to pay 12 lakh for a good top hoarding in a crossing to make my product aware. But because of this, the rents have gone down significantly. So that's the right time to invest more because that's a time when you will be active in the market while your competition will not. So as a marketer, you need to invest more when the market is in slump. But that is right in this letter, but may not be in the spirit because you don't have too much money and the first thing you cut is variable. So hence, during this testing time, the function of the marketing function, become very important. because you hold a lot of those spends, which company would ideally want to cut, but you as a marketing leader there want to prevent from the overall cut and want to guide it in a more efficient manner. That how can I prevent some of those random marketing bursts which I was doing in print or radio or something, but can I do more surgical marketing intervention basis my target customer? And hence that's the overall change which is happening, which is leading to people finding out that digital spends are more easy to control. Digital spends is better from the ROI perspective, and I can control the amount by, and that's the reason. Let me start with there. So as a marketing function in the company, there are a lot of things which are in your hand and people will pounding on you to cut back, but you, if stand fast, give them the right direction that this is my TG, this is what our ROI was. Now I'm getting some marketing asset at a cheaper rate. If I do that, I can extend to my more customers and it will help increase sales. That's a confidence as a you marketing leader. Give it to your business leader and then you do that. Save the gun. So that's where it is. 65% say they have increased their marketing activities. Now, this is what I find very interesting. The last 6 months of 2020, what are the marketing channels these companies or these industries are spending at? The top one, I see Amazon. I was very happy to see my name out there, our company's name out there. And 80% said they will spend more on Amazon. And like one of my target in the companies also is the ad spends, like how many crores of ad spend I can generate over the year from my sellers which I manage. So like sellers who sell their product on the platform, they also promote through sponsored product, which in Google ads in a manner of speaking. And hence my target is to ensure I sell more of those advertisements so that they spend more on the platform and displaying their product. And you as a customer when come, you see those products and buy it. So when I see Amazon and 80% people saying they'll spend more, give me confidence. This as a business leader, I can take aspiring targets for 2021, for example. And if you see the first 3-4, Amazon, social media, search marketing, which is your SEO, SEM, and virtual events and conferences, which is like what we are doing, webinar, all these are people gonna spend more. And the same trend, if you see, gonna continue for next 6 to 12 months. That is industry gonna see a very foreseeable change in the next 1 year. A lot of movement gonna happen from the offline media to an online media. And what we say is a performance marketing. This is the entire stuff we're talking about is a performance marketing, cost per click, CPC, CMM, and other matrices. People gonna be more cautious and more surgical in spending, and hence the best thing they can do is spend online because that gives you the right metric to measure. Like if I put a hoarding in the biggest crossing in Bangalore, where I'm residing right now, I don't know how many people are gonna watch. I'm not gonna know how many people after watching went to the website, and I don't know after doing that piece how many purchased actually, right? So it's like traffic awareness, then leading to a traffic, leading to a conversion. The exact same thing is very much possible from a digital performance marketing piece, the Amazon ads or a Google ads or something. Like people saw my Amazon ad on Amazon, they clicked on it, they went to the product, they clicked on it, they purchased, and hence it delivered. So I can track the ROI and hence become much more easier for me to, as a marketer, control my marketing spends. And post-COVID, when everyone has a limited amount of money and the digital movement is happening, it's a very strong mix. That in any ways, people are going to Amazon to buy products. Anyway, they are not purchasing offline. So I don't want to spend offline and do that. Let me start spending my product online and do it. So this movement gives me a very, very strong confidence. And that's there, which is, again, talk about that social media, website, paid video, advertising on retail websites, which is what Amazon and Flipkart and all are. That's where the spend gonna go for coming 1 year. For example, a lot of my sellers who are selling my products on Amazon, they are now investing on video, the paid video piece, which is written, because they believe I don't want to show TV ad because people are not seeing TV as much as we believe in the last year. And TV ads are very costly. why don't I do a more small ad on the Amazon page itself? So if you go to Amazon, buy a product, there are 5 pictures there. There's 1 video out there. That video is the paid video page, which is written there. So if a person wants to see my ad, let me see on the Amazon rather than on a national TV where I don't know which person is seeing that ad and which person is going to buy that product. There's no link. You can't do strong segmentation out there as surgical as a Amazon platform. So yeah. So this is where their spend on website gonna increase, spend on apps gonna increase, and for me, it's a very, very different way of looking the entire marketing activity of sorts. Like we grew up, like I was part of the ITC for first 5 years. I was assistant brand manager for Vival range of soaps and shampoos. So if you have seen any Vival soaps in the market, or you have seen any Kareena Kapoor ad at that point in time on Vival soaps, that was which I was part of it. I had worked into the marketing department. I had worked on the product and as a soap and shampoos. And then I also was part of the team which developed these TV ads. It's a pretty cost heavy activity. Like I know personally, I paid at that time, I was signing those agreements, 3 CR, 4 CR per year to Kareena Kapoor for 7 days of her shoot time in the entire year. And basically that we could make 3 TV commercials, and that TV commercial will spend another 20-25 CR on 1 year of their shooting. It's a pretty heavy activity, but with, I don't know which ROI gonna get. Like we can only measure TOMA at max. But in online, it is strong performance marketing, and hence people are moving from offline to online. They are much more cost heavy. And these small new companies which are coming in, which they don't have the budget for, to get a brand ambassador and go to TVC, they are directly launching on online and doing those activities which we shared. So that's a good mix is coming up. And we are confident that that's going to only bloom further. So if you saw how customers have changed, you saw how industries are changing, but proof is in the numbers. Like all these are visual thinking. If it is happening, not happening on ground, then we are thinking. So I could gather some of those marketing spends. I spent the last 1.5 days. I could gather a lot of those pieces. Some of those numbers are not there, but at least it will tell you a good story which I'm trying to talk about. For example, if I talk about last year's spends. So last year, industry degrew by 17%. So as an Indian ad spend industry was 68,000 crores in 2019, they dropped to 56,490 CR in 2020. So that's the first information. Like because industry went down, the ad spend went down. The important piece here is the second line, which is digital. If you see, digital was the only piece which grew by 15% in 2020. So that corroborates what we have seen earlier. Like people are cutting spend from all the other marketing channels. They are putting more spend into digital. And this is shown that in spite of being the worst year in Indian industry, it is still grew by 15%. The third and important thing is they expect a 20% CAGR for digital marketing. And believe you me, right now in 2020, you can see digital marketing is 15,782 CR and print is 13,970. So digital has already overtaken print in 2020 itself. And they expect it to grow to 20% CAGR, while other channel will be going by 9% CAGR. So you could see the entire marketing shift has happened, and COVID has really hastened that shift. And now it is a stage where I don't see any company, any marketing, any brand can prepare a marketing plan without strong emphasis on digital. Like when I used to do my marketing plan in way back 2005 to 7 to 8, when, same, we will shop shampoo. So I had whatever 50 CR of marketing budget every year. I don't remember planning more than 1 CR on digital. I never planned that. But look at that number at 28% contribution from digital. It opens my eyes, that this is the top 3 segment, and first is TV ad, which was historically being there and now being digital. So that's the first good change, which as you guys should note that how these will shape the marketing nuances coming further. So I could see a lot more companies coming into the digital marketing domain. Lot more companies will come into creation of digital content, and this digital content will not just limited to a Google ads or a sponsored ads on Amazon. It will be also creating good website content, creating good in catching Insta, Facebook campaigns, and linking all those campaigns to your Amazon page or your website so that you can develop all the traffic there. So a lot of strong ecosystem gonna make up, in my view, in this one. So hurting demand. If I go deeper for 2020, just for my understanding, where people have spent more, expectedly, FMCG has rocked because people were at home. They bought more of those consumable products, grocery products, and hence spent. But the second highest is e-commerce, which is more companies like Amazon and Flipkart are now giving TV ad because that's where the sector is moving to. You know, these companies also has smelled the blood. They could see a lot of shift from customers. For example, if I give you just a number, so Amazon in US, Amazon.com had a 14% share of overall retail. When I talk about overall, is overall all organized retail. 14% share from when they started in 1999 to 2019. So from 1999 to 2002 decade, they grew from whatever 0.1% to a 14% market share. So 14% of all retail happens through Amazon in US, 14 to 16. Within 6 weeks of lockdown, this 14 increased to 17, and within 8 months of COVID, this 17 has jumped to 21 or 23 rather. So 1 out of every 4 products in US is bought from Amazon. And that 14%, 0 to 14 to 2 decades, 14 to 23 or something to 8 months. That's a shift has happened. As unimaginable. And you're talking about a company which is selling $100 billion product every year, every quarter. So it's not a small base on which you're talking about the world's second largest company after Apple from the market valuation perspective. And that company is increasing their market share from 14% to 24% of the industry within 8 months. And that is visualized here in the spend from India also, like Flipkart and Amazons of the world are spending a huge more on e-com from e-com side compared to like JioMart, everything else will come into this e-com side compared to 20% in FMCG. So that's a shift, huge shift. Interesting for us to know that this is so exciting. And if I go detail in these sectors, just for again my information purposes, I could see personal care being first, food and beverage being second. Services is what I'm talking about, e-commerce services. Then healthcare, hair care. So if you see the all FMCG first 6 and e-commerce in between, which tells you how e-commerce have grown, may not able to overall beat FMCG, but at least becoming top from the spends perspective. And the last slide here is just a like-to-like services comparison, if I do. This is how the industry looked like BFSI has died down. Your all ads on banking and insurance have more or less remained stable. Education has jumped a lot. So all things Byju's and Topper and Unacademy and all those pieces, they have picked up, and as well as e-commerce. So that's a big shift as per me. So this is the third piece of the presentation, and that we talked about how customers have changed. We talked about how industries have shifted in the second set. Third, we talked about how the numbers, like exactly numbers have changed, which led to, which culminated the first 2 learnings. And basis that as me as a customer, what I should do more, or me as a marketer, rather I should do more, is where I try to see some of those stuff. So for me, the top 2 things become retaining my existing customers because they are loyal. I have already paid customer acquisition cost to acquire them, and I've already paid loyalty discounts to retain them. So I want to retain for a longer basis in this environment, which is not so healthy. And going further, I will also want them to visualize my new offering or experience my new offerings. So I like my one customer who's already purchasing some product from me, and I want to show them advertisements or something that, hey, you have bought this product, maybe you're interested in this also. So if you see on Amazon, you will see a scroller saying, hey, whoever person has bought this board game has also bought this game also. For me, just to push the cart size, average order value has to be increased in that manner, and do that. So that's as a customer I'm going to do. As a marketer, I'm going to do. And similarly, the second big piece is around digitization. We spoke about that we want to increase the digitization. And these are the websites where people spend. Other than Amazon, these are the social media channels. So I'm just separating social media from the e-com channel. E-com is a channel like Amazon, Flipkart, where you go and buy. Facebook, YouTube, where you build your brand, and you may direct that customer from Facebook to your website or your e-com site. So this is the, again, people are doing a lot. Like we've seen a lot of investment happening on these channels. And during execution, like how I am making up, as I shared with you, like driving helping recent buyers discover more, re-engaging them in multiple ways possible, and figuring out what can be more surgical investments I can do in marketing to capture new customers. So as a marketer, I'm moving more from offline to online to retain the first piece of it, which is driving sales from new customers. It's not easy. It's very cost accretive. It's not profit accretive at all. So I'm using that as a means for acquiring new customers by coming to online, and the balance to which we spoke about. Doing that, that's my first big thing. Second, reach more of the right people. Again, like one of the teams which I also manage is the advertising team. So sellers who want to sell on Amazon, they want to push their product, and hence they want to promote their product, and hence they want to advertise their products. My team helps them put the right spend. So when I say reach more of the right people, it basically means how I can improve efficiency of my advertising campaign. For example, it is fairly impossible for you to do anything if you have put a hoarding on the road. You can't do anything. Person who has a car will also see that hoarding. Person who has a bike will see the hoarding. Person who's going into a bus also will gonna see. You can't segment it, but in online you can segment a lot. You can put up those keywords, those preferences for a customer just to segment out. So that's what my team do, more efficient marketing, because we know this time money is not there. So if I'm not efficient, they're going to take my marketing budget away from my company or my platform and spend somewhere else. So I need to be much more efficient as well as frugal. And hence all these things becoming how I become myself more efficient from the marketing parlance. And there are a lot of matrices we track very regularly. For example, there's a thing called advertising cost of sales, ACOS. It helps me gather whether if I'm selling more, as my advertising also increasing or less. So if my ACOS is stable or going down, it's very healthy metric for me. And that's what me and my team measure on a weekly basis. So as a marketer, I need to very tight control of ACOS because people don't have money. If my team is not efficient in doing that, I may lose that business. The same thing, the last piece which I talked about, align your creative with your objective. Right? You're at the right content and the right context. Be compassionate with the first slide we talk about, align with your customer, what they are seeking, what your target group is seeking. Is your content and context is alignment to that? And this is a very sensitive environment. A lot of chaos, a lot of pessimism. We need to do that. A quick summary here, because this I do in day in, day out. As an e-commerce player, this I do in day in, day out. If you as a customer come on the platform, this is how I track your journey. You see some products or you get some kind of campaign or blog you read, you want to purchase something. Research is you type some keyword on Amazon, and then once you discover a product, you read about the product. and then you read the reviews, and the entire cycle goes. For every life cycle of a customer, there's a lot of things that go into the background, which as a marketer we do, as a marketing team of my advertising team we do. For example, we control a lot of keywords so that when you're searching for a shoe, and what kind of shoe you're searching, I will show only those products. For example, if you say hush puppies, then I should have a negative keywords in my search, which prevents you showing Bata. So if you want to say purchase a hush puppies or a Clarks, I would not like to see you Bata, because that's a waste of time for you as well as for me. So negative keyword being important comes important. So similarly on everything from the digital marketing activity angle, a lot of work goes, and I need to work on a lot of these things for me to improve the buying experience for end customer like you. Because a lot of new people are coming in, new customers are coming in who are not online savvy, I need to be much more observant of how this offline customer who is converting to online and searching on the platform, let's say Amazon or Google or whichever it is, and how I can make their life much more easier. How I can show them what exactly they want. For example, if a new customer wants to search some shoe, can I just show those top 30 shoes which are just aligned with what their needs are? And then discounts are also coming up front so that they are convinced that this is a good value buy which they can do. So as I said, this is my day in day out. I did it for last 8 odd years. Not easy to explain for me here. But a lot of these deep thought go into making much more efficient because of this customer has changed. New customers, lot of customers, but limited money. How do I align everything and still make a good purchase so that my customer is happy and the company I'm happy? So this is a summary where I spoke about how I retain my existing customers, how can increase their basket size. When there are challenges which we saw, if I'm making a lot of digital campaign, then I'm too dependent as a marketer on Facebook and Google, Amazon. Like there are custom sellers who work with me and they said, sir, 90% of my sales come from Amazon. I am very worried as a marketer, if tomorrow Amazon stops my account on the platform, my entire business will go. I am not as strong as omni-channel business as some of the other guys are. Or people who only sell on Facebook or Instagram, people who only sell on Google. That's the first big challenge as a marketer we need to be wary of. Second, in offline world, even if the ad is not doing good, it is okay because it's a one-way communication. You see a TV ad, you can curse, but you can't do anything. In online, it's very easy to give comments, hateful comments about your brand, about your company. So how do you prevent all this from happening? How your content is taking care of that? That's the second big problem. We spoke about driving app installs and how we need to ensure we have the entire ecosystem built around the customer. That customer is coming to my website, customer is looking at my Insta page, customer is looking at my purchasing from my app. I won't let the customer go out of my ecosystem. That becomes important and hence a challenge. And last piece, which is also equally critical, is from where your traffic is coming in. As a marketer, if you open online channel, because offline people are not buying, they want to come online, and you want people and come to online. So you tie up with a lot of companies which provide traffic. For example, we tied up with IRCTC at what point in time. So whichever person are booking trains on IRCTC, they will be shown an ad and they can be directed. So lakhs of people came because IRCTC site is opened by crores of people. But those traffic was not converting. We couldn't get anything out of it. And we stopped the campaign and hence you need to be very careful as a marketer, your traffic and brand safety. So this is all about it. Sorry for my monologue of 50 odd minutes. But that's how I see that industry has changed a lot. Customers' behavior has changed a lot. And hence I could see those impacts on me as an e-commerce marketer, as a digital online sales marketer. And I could see this only going 2x, 3x, 10x in the next 2 years. So you as a marketer, is much more important for you to go deeper into this customer nuance and how digital is a means of serving those customers and making a good, happy buying, selling relationship. So yeah, over to you, Sharad. Any questions from the team, anything from your side? Happy to answer.
Okay. Now, if anyone wants to ask the question, you can ask. Okay, but I think before anyone asks the question, let me ask one question that mm, uh, was there something new which has happened in the market these days, especially during during last 1 year. Of course, you've told about how the shift has happened from offline to online. That's true. But anything very specific in online?
Yeah, in fact, I had wanted to talk about it, but I didn't, or couldn't rather. So earlier, the thought from a company was make a product, then start selling into the nearby outlets or a big bazaar, and hopefully things will pick up. I have seen new age product stroke companies coming into the industry, coming into the market, which they do not have any physical presence. Their entire sales is happening online. And some of those top products on Amazon, which my team is helping them sell, they don't have any offline presence. And they're doing some 5 times the nearby offline competition. That is astonishing. Like, you're only selling online and you're selling minimum 5 times of your bigger nearby competition without having your presence in this one. So, for example, this is what I call them as internet first brands. Is a common term being used, which just bypass everything which was the incumbent brand. Like earlier into ABC, the thing which is written for you to sell. But once in online, you don't have to do anything. You just need to place your product on my website, which is Marketplace, or you have your own app. And if you want to do offline, and it bypasses the entire channel. And for all new age companies, which were at least struggling to see how can I connect with my customers. Now they say customers is going online. Customers not going to this offline shops just like the way they were doing earlier. If customers are directly going online and purchase, then why should I not directly go online? Why should I put so much spend of mine as a company in setting up distribution chains, which we spoke about earlier, distributor, retailer, wholesaler? Why directly just not launch a website on Amazon? So that's what the internet first brands are. That these brands are selling 10 to 15 CR, at least whatever I'm managing per month of sales, which is 150 CR to 200 CR industry, and have a zero offline presence. Their entire sale is online. And these are the survey which I collected, their share of overall hair care products. For example, there's a brand called WOW, WOW. It is one of the top 5 selling SKUs on Amazon in the hair care segment. And they entirely do online. They don't sell offline. Now you're talking about in top 5 customers, brands on the top 2nd or top 3rd brand on the platform having a zero offline presence. And the top brand, there will be Dove, there will be L'Oreal, there will be, you name the brand, they will be there, and they're fighting and winning the battle. So you see the share increasing in all these, internet first brands, and their first preferred channel is online aggregator, which is Amazon and Flipkart. And then they have online cosmetic platform, for example, your Purple or Nykaa, which sells products. And the last is physical store. So they're not interested in spending in the offline world. That's a big change, which I've seen, and huge change. So, and a lot of funding is happening in this environment also. They believe that create a good product, create a good digital marketing campaign, go to Amazon, start selling, and Amazon will take care of it, whatever, Amazon, Flipkart, So there's a good change in the industry, and it has revolutionized the entire industry. So a lot of new brands, and Botanica, WOW, I can name it, some of those brands which have launched in 2014 on Amazon in last or in 2019, and they are doing so well that they are not interested in selling offline at all. So the entire offline marketing is zero, budget is zero for them. And these are the brands they're beating hands down the Dove and L'Oreal of the world in that.
Right. So that means these IFBs were there even before pandemic, isn't it? So
Yes.
How has this actually changed?
So earlier, it was very limited. I hardly see 1 or 2 brands when I was launching them on Amazon platform in 2014. there were hardly 1 or 2 or 3 brands in the year which we could launch. Come 2020, last year, my 70% of the new brands which I've launched are ISB brands. And that's a 2-3 brands to 70% shift is huge. And a lot of the brands which were earlier omni-channel, they're saying, sir, the sending on offline platform is becoming very costly. I'm shifting all my business to online. And the entire digital marketing budget has suddenly shoot up because their offline marketing has become zero. So that's a big shift. It's a very big shift. Very positive for me as a company like Amazon, but it's a very big shift. And in the end, customer like you, me, who are purchasing, doesn't matter. In the end, you're getting a good product. You're getting the good customer feedback. You can read all the product. You want to buy a Dove, you need to call up someone to understand Dove is a good product or not. You want to buy an internet product, you can just read the customer reviews, the feedback given by customer to gather it's a good product or not, and you can buy. So huge shift, but interesting. Yeah, that's it from my side. Over to you guys. Any question which you want me to answer?
Sir, I want to ask you a question that as we have seen in the table that the advertising spending on the digital media is rapidly going on, and the advertisement spending on TV and print media is very low, and it is not showing any growth. So how can they come on the path of the growth again?
No. So if
to gaining that spending.
See, the industry is changing. Customers' purchase pattern is changing. I spend more time, like post-COVID, I'm not going to office. The entire day I'm in front of my laptop. My entire customer share or mind space is going online. So because of that, brands and marketers are changing their strategy. In the end, you need to reach customer, right? As a marketer, you need to reach customer. For you, what is beneficial? You need to reach more customer at much lesser cost, which is efficient way. If you believe digital is the more efficient way to reach to scale with lesser cost, then you will tend to go by that. And hence, death of TV advertising is happening in a manner of speaking. For example, in my home, for the last 1 year, we don't have any cable connection. I have Netflix, Prime, and Disney Hotstar, and that's where I see all the things. I have not seen any cable in the last 1 year, and there are so many homes like that who don't watch TV, who just watch anything on Netflix and other channels and with whatever limited time have. So for me, no matter how big your TV ad is, how big your ambassador is, I won't able to get to know those products unless you come online, come to these platforms, OTT platform or some other online channel for me to see that. So the customer is shifting. No matter what you do or what you don't want to do, TV advertising is not going to help you. Customer is shifting. So catch the customer where they are in the most efficient manner. That's how I believe.
But sir, there are also customers in rural areas where they do not have the internet connections, but they can, but they have only access to the TVs, and so that they can get all these advertisement in their head on the basis of that. So how means in that area that a TV advertisement has some growth. But
see, again, bifurcate between, for example, what I did, I did in 10-15 years back, made a TV ad with Kareena Kapoor. Bifurcate that. If you really want to catch as a marketer, you want to catch young millennial who are moving online, go to digital platform. If you want to catch rural, go to rural marketing platforms. The marketing works in a very different manner. I had done that activities also. There are Deepika Padukone ad who are not gonna get you sales. For them, if you are able to showcase some good brands through their offline marketing activity, again, BTL, I'm not talking about ATL. ATL is all TV. Even in rural, TV does not work as much as we believe they work. But BTL works, which is you put more posters, you put more newspapers ad, you put more discount on the outlet, that works well. So again, be smart in your advertising spend. As a marketer, understand if your rural customer wants to be reached, as a marketer, you want to reach rural customer, think about those pieces which they'll watch much more closely. And would they align with it? Would a rural customer buying some product will be glamorized by a brand ambassador which takes a high fee and do that? Or they will be very heavily, because they are more value conscious, maybe an BTL ad with a more on-ground retail promotion will work well. Match out your brand, match out their need with the customer, and basis that a portion you spend. Don't go by historical activity of TV ad being the best mechanism in the country to reach to the customer. That's my point here.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Mitali had a point, then we can go to Monira. I think they've raised hands.
Yes, sir. Sir, I want to know your point of view on it. Like you talked about how we can increase the experience of the customers as they are going offline and online. So it will not create a lot of trouble for the customer. Sites are including virtual reality on their platforms to make it look real. So as you have also mentioned about the loyalty and increase in acquisition cost, so how it will affect the purchase intention of a customer, till what extent?
So I could not gather the question. Like you're saying, because of this changing scenario, how the customer spend are changing?
Sir, because of the adding some new features on the website, like virtual reality and augmented reality, which make it real for the person who is buying the product. So till what
you're saying, how does these new features, AR and VR being one, how does these new features add in driving customer experience which lead to higher sales?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
To higher sales.
Yeah. So see, again, in the end, look at the pre and post-COVID. Post-COVID, I don't think you have either the availability of the product in hand to check, or the experience, whichever the case you buy. If you're buying a TV, if you're buying any other gaming experience, earlier you go to a store, you check 10, put 10 buttons and do all those things. Now online you can't do that. Post-COVID you can't do that. So if I'm as a marketer able to create the similar offline store experience in my online platform and able to give you the exact same experience, then I don't see reason why you will not, as a customer, be converted. For example, you take a fridge, go to Tata Croma or some other retail store, take a fridge, you open the fridge, you look at the shelves, you look at from all the sides possible, and then you buy. Experience where there's a good video which talks about all the features, they'll show you 360-degree view of the product and enhance your entire experience so that everything required for you as a customer to know offline is available offline. Then there's no reason why you won't buy. And that is what we've seen. Like earlier, we used to see small product being purchased. Now, for the last so many years, we have seen air conditioner, fridge, TV, everything is getting purchased online. Why? Because creating the same experiences. You go step higher and create those other advanced features. For example, some of the sites, you want to buy, let's say, a suit or a sari, and you either give your picture or you give your feature. They'll make a mannequin and they will tell you how the product gonna look like once you wear. That is creating an online experience of how a shirt or a sari or a suit gonna look like once you're gonna actually buy. These are strong experiences, and then it doesn't give any doubt or gives a lot of clarity on how it's gonna look once I wore, which you can't do in the offline environment now because of COVID. So they are creating those experiences that when I push of a button, they'll change. You put your face, they'll immediately, whatever 5 shirts you have selected, you can see one by one how it's gonna look like, and you purchase. So obviously, a high product experience lead to high customer experience, lead to higher purchase. This is where the investments are going really high from the marketing side of it, the brand side of it. Yeah,
okay,
Monira.
Sir, thank you.
Thanks, Mitali.
Firstly, I would like to thank you for this amazing session. And my question is, sir, that when it comes to online purchase, we often look at customer reviews, and then we tend to buy things. But, and it is more important on e-commerce stores like Amazon and Flipkart. But when it comes to branded store where there is an omni-channel presence, so we tend to buy that, okay, it's a brand and I'm going to buy these stuff. But sir, when it comes to Amazon, there are certain reviews which can be deliberate. Like people tend to deliberately wants to take down that supplier or negative comments about that. So how do the team deal with these kind of comments?
So you're saying how we prevent wrong reviews on the platform?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's a valid point. It's a key question which we still are solving in Amazon. And because of this high competition, if hypothetically Monira is a seller, Samir is a seller, Monira is selling some product which is of a lesser value or lesser cost than Samir, and Samir is not able to sell. So what Samir can do possibly is buy a few products of Monira and start doing negative rating, right? This is what we, in our parlance, we say either it's a customer abuse or a seller abuse, right? For example, if I've given wrong rating or I have seen this product is bad and have not purchased the product at all from the platform, I may come under the segment of customer abuse. Point number one. Point number two, if I see a repeated pattern, multiple times I could see same person, like same Samir giving negative feedback on product by Monira again and again, then it becomes an abuse in a manner. And what we do, we have a strong algorithms which check this uniqueness of this feature. Like, is it the only one time which Samir has said bad product for Monira, or it is multiple times Samir is doing against Monira, or maybe Samir is doing against 5 other sellers also? Then there are multiple things we check. One, what is the pattern? Like, is it multiple instance or one instance? Like one instance, it may be a genuine case. You may be selling good quality product. I didn't like it. I said, sorry, bad. But I've been doing multiple times. That's the first pattern. Then we check what are the IPs, which IP from customer has, or seller, whoever it is, has given feedback, so that I can track those laptop IDs or phone IDs. And then I map all these IDs with my other abuses also, because there will be anonymous abuse also. Someone is just saying Samir and saying something. So I check all these pieces to see it is the same laptop which has created 5 IDs and has sent 10 wrong feedbacks to Monira's product. Then I will suppress, once I am able to catch that because of my algorithm, I will suppress Samir's comments, and that it will written comments are deleted by the administrator. Because we believe it's an abuse case, it is not a genuine case. And as an offline customer coming online, review is a very strong mechanism for them to buy. So we want customer to trust our review pieces, and we should ensure no one can game that system in their advantage.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anyone else has any question, either on e-commerce or anything else?
Yes, so one question.
Yeah, go ahead, Sathya.
How do we decide the attribution window for our campaigns? Like, if a customer clicks on our ad and don't take any action, so how do we decide we should go after him or not?
So there are multiple things that get checked. For example, if you have created a campaign on the platform, campaign is a banner on the platform or an ad on the platform. So how many people clicked it? That's the first thing we check. Then we check after clicking how many people end up purchasing. So how many people saw the ad? Then how many people click the ad? Then how many people purchase the product? There's a different layers. If I'm not able to see the ad, then we understand that I'm targeting the wrong customer, because somewhere they're not able to see the ad. They're not doing that. So maybe you are wanting to sell a Hush Puppy shoe and you've given an ad, but maybe I'm doing something else. I'm placing it some other place. And then the second piece is people clicking the ad, which tells me that your ad is catchy in a manner of speaking. If they saw the ad and clicked it, but they're not purchasing the product, then there are 2-3 work streams that start. That why did it happen that customers saw the ad? It's basically when they like the product, that's the reason they went to the ad, and reached, when they saw the ad, they clicked the ad, they reached to the product, but they couldn't purchase it. Then what can be the problem? A, your catalog quality may be not good. Like whatever pictures of the shoe is there, they are not clear. So you said, I am not able to, yaar samajh nahi aa raha, dikh nahi raha kya chal raha hai, so why should I buy it? Or there are no details of the product. So you don't know, looks like good, but you are not able to see the product in that detail. 3, price is very high. You say, yaar, product acha hai, but the discounts are not there. So then at each stage, we measure what is the problem, so that we can tell and go back and tell the marketer, yaar, you're doing everything right. Your campaigns are good, but I think you should give 5% more discount, and then you see the conversion happening. So we have strong mechanism at every stage to understand what the attribution is, where is the dropout or bounce rate is, which stage the customer bounce back, and then map it. So these are their metrics. One, as and when you start learning more into it, you'll get to know. And because of online, everything is measurable. So hence there is no ambiguity as to more or less why customer did not purchase. And then it left to the marketer or brand whether they want to add more good advertising photos or add more discounts or something like that.
All right. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I think Rashmi had raised the hand. Tanuj, I'll come to you. Rashmi had raised the hand first. Yeah, Rashmi, go ahead, please.
So I had a doubt, like the factors, like you said, why our advertisement is not working. The factors you just mentioned, if those are also taken care of, but somehow our advertisement is not reaching to a lot of people. Our reach is very less. So what can be done in that scenario so that we can reach more people and cater to our potential customers?
See, it depends upon, first of all, the most important thing is to know your customer better. Like, we have seen cases where seller is selling a Bata shoe and he wants that advertising to be shown to customer who want a Hush Puppy shoe. I don't see reason why they want to do that. The price segment is very different. The product quality is very different. The way customer perceives the Hush Puppy is very different from a Bata. So understand the customer better. That's the first primary important piece. Second, understand at what life cycle stage you're capturing the customer. So that is second more important piece. And third is, because of these attribution mechanisms, it can tell me if a creative is working or not working, which creative is working. So what I do, for example, once I understood the customer, I understand what are the keywords which I need to put in. So if I am selling a Bata shoe, I need to put a different kind of keyword, which is shoe, economy shoe, value purchase, robust, while a Hush Puppy may be much more stylish, premium. So keywords are associated. So that improvement is required for us to sharpen our advertising. And once we do that, then we also have different type of creatives. Like, is it a discount creative which is working for Bata vis-a-vis a imagery creative working for Hush Puppy? So we have different banners which we run at different stages of our Amazon's page. And then we see from attribution which banner is working well. Like how many people clicked the value banner and end up purchasing for the same product compared to how many saw brand imagery banner and end up purchasing a product. So these attribution help us sharpen the advertising, but you know the TG much better. You know, you should understand what he or she is looking at, what kind of keyword I need to put in a campaign, what kind of messaging. Is it a discount messaging? It's a brand premium messaging, it's a awareness messaging, and take it from there. So mix of these pieces, once you start doing that, you kept up more sharpening your advertising, and that helps you reduce this A cost, which is what I spoke about, advertising cost of sales over the time. But important thing is to understand customer better, because for a lot of these pieces, people say to us also, sir, while I'm putting 4 CR on Amazon, or sorry, 4 lakh on Amazon from ad spends, I also have run 2 campaigns on Facebook. I'm also doing a 98.3 Mechi FM advertisements. And then we ask him, do you know your customer well? Do they listen to 98.3? If not, then your spending is not going to be a right not going to give you right output. So learn better, and once you know this is the channel or this is the life cycle and this is the stage where the customer are, then prepare those campaign basis the stage. So if a new customer is coming in and you want to hook onto the brand, then do you believe a brand imagery kind of campaign or a discount kind of campaign we're gonna lead to more CTA, call to action, which gonna be important and which gonna be an early one. This is that you do these pilots, which we do on a very regular basis, and do that.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Tanuj.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have 2 questions to ask, sir. So first, sir, like, can we also say that COVID-19 has been a blessing in disguise for certain digital agencies? Like, digital marketing is there since 2008, if I'm not wrong, and it is there in the market. But the boom that it picked up during the lockdown from March. At that point of time, it actually grew, and many startups also came up. And so we can say that it is a blessing in disguise for digital agencies.
Absolutely, it's a windfall game. I won't just say blessing in disguise. It's a windfall game. Like there are a lot of brands which were earlier hesitant to come on online platform. Lot of companies which are not earlier interested in coming offline, they now want to come online. Coming online. They want to come online, and the moment they want to come online, they will also need to spend online. So digital marketing agencies, which can create your banners on digital platforms,
yes, sir,
become much more important. And it's not just limited to, let's say, e-commerce. It's the entire digital chains: Facebook, Google, Insta. And as a customer, you want to see your brand everywhere, not just on e-commerce platform. You go to Facebook, they should have a good page. You go to Insta, you have a good page. They should. That's a wholesome experience. So it's
they even used. I suppose they even used certain brands that, like MRG World. I can say that they are a startup in real estate, affordable housing. But the way they promoted themselves, like showcasing the workers or the laborers staying in the in their location itself, they were providing them food and all. So it increased their goodwill also and had a promotion as well. So
as a customer, you are not able to see those things. But if you are able to ensure, the brand is able to ensure you see all those goodness of their brand through online media, as a customer, you're going to trust them.
Yes, sir. So,
okay, second, so I actually did not want to, intervene in this interesting discussion, okay, which I know that, it will actually go on and on. But, in the interest of time, and I understand that Samir also has some commitments. Okay, so let's try and wrap it up. Okay, we'll have a very quick question from Piyush, and then I'll ask one selfish question from Samir. Okay, and I think that will be all. Yes, Piyush, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. First of all, thank you for the session that you have conducted. So my question is that post-COVID, we have seen that there is a boom in digital marketing. So if I, as an example, if I have a factory or I have two factories and I am a very small or local brand and I want to say advertise on digitally. So is it feasible for me to advertise it for digital marketing? As many times what happens that we have to plan a campaign and we have to hire a firm if we don't have the expertise. So it may cost us, or we may have financial constraints. So is it feasible for a small brands? Because many times big brands are doing that, but for small brands.
See, again, you can start with as limited as 500 rupees per week, not per day or per hour. You can start as small as that amount on a digital platform. And there are already tools available. Like Amazon has a lot of tools where you just plug in your brand image, your logo, and some tagline. They'll create a campaign for you. They'll create a banner for you. And just you put 500 rupees key amount. For 500 rupees, whatever the time frame that campaign will run, it will give you that kind of visibility. So for a small brand, that's something, democratizing the entire infrastructure here. You don't need a digital agency to create a good brand on online platform. As long as you are tech savvy, you understand basic tools given by Amazon or Flipkart, whichever the companies are, and use those tools to create a campaign. So it's very easy for a small seller to do. And that's the reason all these new age internet first brands are coming on the platform and scaling their business up.
So let me ask that, one last question. This is, from the point of view of our students. See, now if we see, what is your advice, Amit, for our MBA students who are, many of them are graduating in this month, they are in second year, and many of them are completing first year this month, and so they have their summer internship and second year ahead before they actually graduate from business school. So what would be your advice to these two sets of students?
Advice for learning in the industry, or how? Sorry.
I mean, see, we have two sets of students. Okay. One is that who are actually graduating now. So they're just completing their MBA this year. Okay. And the second set is who have just completed first year. So now they're going to summer internship and then they will do their second year also here. So what would be your advice to these two sets of students?
So for the people who are graduating, See, this digital industries has taken a boom. I have seen Facebook very active on it. I have seen Google acting it. I have seen Jio expanding, and you see Amazon. Because of these companies, a lot of support companies have shaped up a lot. These are the companies which help either acquire these brands for the companies, which is Google and all, or helping like online marketing agencies, online sales acquisition agencies. So learn more about this sector in the next 1 to 2 months. Figure out which are those some sub companies. For example, you talk about Honda or you talk about Maruti. These are the bigger companies. Just match up with Amazon and Flipkart. But they don't do everything by themselves. There are a lot of companies, small companies, which support them in making the entire product. Think of those companies, which Unicommerce, for example, being one, right? There are mobile commerce, Unicommerce. These are the companies which assist maturing a business from an offline to an online in multiple manners. So there are so many companies which have come up and which gives you a good exposure of how this digital industry is shaping up. So figure out if you really have the interest in this field, if you really want to grow. Of course, one growth is directly going into these companies, Amazon, Google, Facebook, and try out your career there. Second is, if these are not immediately possible for whatever X reasons, then figure out which are those companies which are helping Amazon transition an offline seller to an online seller. And be a part of that bandwagon so that you get a good exposure of this tech industry, tech enablement, sales, tech enablement, marketing. And once you get good exposure over the time, as and when a good opportunity comes into these bigger companies, or the other piece is also possible, like you have a good brand in your mind, you have a good thought process, you know it's a good product, or your family member or father or your some other relative makes a good product and you believe, I can shape this business online better. That also can happen once you get a good exposure of this online ecosystem and then leverage that to your advantage by creating your own brand at some point in time. So that I believe is a good thing which people who are on the verge of completing the course can do. And for people who are in the first year, it's the exciting space. Like I have spent my 10 odd years in FMCG. I have spent 8 odd years into post MBA, 8 odd years into e-commerce. I love the e-commerce space any day better than my FMCG. So it's a very exciting space to be in, and a lot of new things are coming up. Like a lot of new pieces like Facebook, Insta, Google are the enablers. Then you have Flipkart and Myntra and Amazon as the executioners, and we have support infrastructure which support these companies and brands. Study a bit more, try to work with some kind of internship on this piece, understand how the thing works, because that's a very exciting space. And if you see, top 10 US companies or top 10 companies of the world, 8 are tech enabled. Top 8. The earlier of, Tata, Birla and all those pieces, they are going back. The tech enablement of Facebook, Insta, Twitter, they're going up. So it is always better to know more about this tech enablement industry ecosystem and figure out your space where you can feature there. That this is the good stuff. Like you are very good in marketing and you can do very good in creative campaign. So there are digital agencies which create campaigns for these marketers. You can join them. Or you are very good in digital sales. So there are companies which acquire sellers, acquire other SMBs for these ecosystem. You can help them, enable them. So you'll figure out a good place where you are comfortable and can add value to the overall ecosystem. So learn a bit more. You'll figure out, and these are the companies, because of everything online, you will get good information. You'll get good case studies being there for you to study, help you understand how this business and industry is moving in the tech enablement space, how the marketing is shaping up in the tech enablement space, and how post-COVID everything, started going at a 2x or 3x pace than what we thought it was earlier. So it is a good exposure for you, for the young guys who are there. Hope Shraddha, I don't know whether I'm able to answer your question fully or not.
No, certainly. I think it was a great session. Okay, so you started with explaining how the consumers have changed their behavior, and then you showed how the effect of COVID is there on marketers, like in terms of increase in digital marketing spend. Now people are actually shifting from offline promotion to online promotion. And of course, it comes with more precision and measurability. Because I remember we used to see some total digital spends in the range of 2 to 5% some 7-8 years back, and now it has changed completely. Especially the things that you have emphasized on IFB brands, that now their share has increased to 70%, which is actually phenomenal. And you so interestingly told us about customer reviews, seller reviews, how marketers are actually using different kinds of algorithms to actually improve their offering, and of course for their platform. And I think your advice to our graduating students and our first year students is, I think, right, well in time. So I'm sure that our students are going to benefit from this. Thank you, Samir. It was a fantastic session. Thanks a lot for sparing, time, especially on a Saturday. Okay, I understand that, this is actually your holiday. It's actually your family time. So you actually gave that time to us. Thanks a lot to us.
So thanks, Sharad. Thanks, team, for having me with you guys. So very happy to share with you whatever I could learn over the case, and hope I may be able to add value to some of your forward movements. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.